Hi guys, welcome to another Tuesday night live stream. I've made it. There's only been 1 week so far that I couldn't make my live stream, and I think I'm doing pretty well, to be honest. I'm just going to talk a lot of rubbish for the next couple of minutes until we get some people coming in, and we can discuss topics that I want to discuss, as well as topics that maybe you guys want to discuss as well. Again, we'll let the guys come in first of all. We've got 4 people watching just now, so we'll let some people come in. Maybe we won't get any more people, but it'll be intimate anyway, regardless. Let's see who's in so far. Jean, hello Barry, hello Jean, welcome to the chat. Vanderhoff is here. What's up, Barry? Happy Tuesday. Yeah, it is a happy Tuesday. I see you've got a question there already, Vanderhoff, but we'll leave it for a few minutes just in case you want other people to hear the answers to anything. Robert, hello Robert. Oh, Nola Ray, stabby. We always like the stabbies. But again, we'll give it a few minutes, guys. Oh, nice one. Wade Ethan Wilson is here. Evening, Barry. First Tuesday I've got off from work and been able to catch the stream. Hope you're well. I am well. Thank you very much for coming in and joining the chat, Wade, especially since this is your first Tuesday off and you've chosen to spend it with me. Amazing. Duke is here. Welcome, Duke. Silly Streams. How we doing, Barry? Not bad, Silly. Glad you can make it. And I think that's it for now. So people are coming in and out. Very nice. Very good. Very nice. So obviously the main topic of the agenda, before I even begin, I don't know what it is. I like to look at the camera. I've got my Canon camera that I use, my actual professional camera that I use for recording videos for the channel. But when I use my live stream camera, it's just a webcam. It's full HD, it's HDR and stuff like that, but it's not as good a quality. But one thing I don't really like about doing live streams is I hardly ever look at the camera, whereas I obviously look at the camera on my pre-recorded videos. But with you guys, I feel like I'm just looking at the comments, which is fine, obviously, because I need to read the comments. It just feels less professional when I don't look at the camera. I don't know if you guys feel the same when you're watching a YouTuber. If they're talking to you like this, even if it's pre-recorded, hi guys, my name is Barry, and I'm not looking at the camera. Compared to this, hi guys, my name is Barry, and I'm looking at the camera. I just feel like looking at the camera is more professional. So when I come to do my live streams, I always feel a little bit weird when I don't look at the camera. So if I don't look at the camera, guys, I apologize. I'm just reading your lovely comments. Anyway, all that for nothing. Duke is here. Oh, I said Duke. Any more news in the Halloween season? We'll get into all that soon. Just letting people come in first so that if anyone wants to hear the answers to some of your questions, then they'll get to see it. Go Games is here. Welcome, Go. Dude is here. Welcome, Dude. Yep, we're going to talk about the time jump in a few minutes as well. Cynthia J. Hi, Barry. Hi, Cynthia. Welcome to the chat. And yep, Silly. Classic YouTuber conundrum. It happens. Yeah, absolutely. At least I know that you look at your camera, Silly. So you're professional. Right. I think we can get started. We've got 13 people in the chat. Oh, we had another one. Papa Woody. I need news on Wolf Creek Free. Welcome, Woody. Again, we can get into that as well. So, yeah. So the live streams are usually a free-for-all. We talk about everything and anything to do with horror most of the time. But if you want to talk about other things, I'm here to chat. But the main topic of discussion tonight or today, wherever you are, is Scream Free. It's Scream Free? What? So random. The main topic of discussion in the horror news is the time jump for Scream 7. I did do a video of it today, just a short video, just kind of detailing what I think might happen, because the time jump's not 100% confirmed at this moment in time. It might very well be the case, but there's a chance that there's not going to be a time jump, and it might just be a bit of miscommunication between the person that's leaked information and the person that's given him or her the information, passing it on to other people. And it's kind of like those whispers where it just changes and the story is completely different by the time it gets to all of us. Let me take that off. So for those of you who don't know, again, I will read all the comments in a few minutes. I'm just going to start off with talking about this Scream thing just now. So the time jump. So there's apparently going to be a time jump to accommodate Sydney's children, especially the oldest kid, being old enough to be chased by Ghostface, being a young teenager or an older teenager, being chased by Ghostface, and then her and her friends being the new cast of characters being terrorized by Ghostface, with Sydney still being there, with Mark possibly as secondary characters, and the new cast of characters being the ones that are getting chased. So that seems to be the case. Now, for that to happen, people seem to think there has to be a time jump for that to happen. But I done a video today saying that a time jump's not necessary, because you could always make the oldest girl be born before 2011, before the events of Scream 4. Now, Sydney doesn't mention having Mark as a partner. She doesn't mention have a child, but doesn't mean she doesn't have a child with Mark. For all we know that they were already together before the events of Scream 4. She took a wedding ring off. She didn't mention her kids. She didn't mention Mark, maybe just for the safety of her family. And people do ask, well, why doesn't Mark come to her rescue then in Scream 4? Well, the first answer is because it wasn't part of the script. But if you want to make it part of the script, you certainly can. There's not much retconning involved. Mark didn't come to her rescue in Scream 5. I know he was watching the girls, but they could be watched by somebody else while Mark comes to her rescue. So if you're not going to pull them up for it in Scream 5, then of course you won't pull them up for it in Scream 4. It's not really a retcon because it doesn't change anything. And in fact, it makes it so that you don't have to change anything or change the timeline or do a time jump for the next Scream movie. So you can still give us a 16-year-old Sydney's daughter, but you don't have to do a time jump. All you need to do is say, well, she was born in 2008, 2009. That means she's going to be 16, 17 years old for the next Scream movie. And that's all you have to do without a silly time jump. Time jumps are okay, but if you time jump too far into the future, it can be a little off. And I don't think they should do that. They might do it. I just don't think that they should do that. People ask how many kids Sydney has. She has at least 3 children. She has one in the buggy that we've seen in Scream 5. And as she's talking to Do on the phone, she's talking about taking the kids to school, the other kids. So she must have 2 older kids, older than the kid in the buggy, so, or the pram, whatever you want to call it, the stroller. So that's basically the update for the Scream franchise, is that there's apparently going to be this time jump. And like I said, when I say time jump, I think the information that was relayed to the person was Sydney's oldest kid is going to be the focus, and that person's automatically thought there has to be a time jump for that to be the case, because we can't have like a 12, 13-year-old child be the main character, go to high school. So they've automatically assumed a time jump's the only explanation for that, whereas it's not. You can just change a little bit of what happened in Scream 4 and 5 without retconning anything, really. So that's my thoughts on it. I know some of you guys have mentioned it anyway, but we'll go through all the chats just now. So anyone who's just arrived, welcome. We're talking all things Scream, all things horror news, and all things anything you really want to talk about on this lovely Tuesday night. I'm looking at my cooker for the date for some reason. So let's go into the chat. So Vanderhoff, you were first in with information or questions. Have you ever seen the awesome 1987 horror movie Delirium, directed by Lombardo Bava? No, I have not. And what a funny thing about me, Vanderhoff, is I'm not that into Italian horror movies. There's just something about it. It's just disconnect. Maybe it's because sometimes, and a lot of the time, when you're watching Italian horror, it's dubbed, but it's dubbed badly as well. I don't mind watching an Italian horror movie in Italian, but the fact that they dub it over a lot of the time with American voices or even their own voices, but they dub it even though it's their voices anyway, it just takes me out of the films. And a lot of Italian horror films are very similar to each other. It's about this woman who's stalked by a man. The police are getting involved, but the woman ends up psychic and she can see the person killing other people. She has to try and help solve the murders with the police. 5 or 6 out of 10 movies are like that. I don't know if Delirium's the same as that, Vanderhoff, but I've never seen it. I've seen some, and some are okay, but I just kind of avoid them because they're kind of rinse and repeat, and they've just come out at a specific era that just I can't connect with for some reason. So apologies, I've not seen it. Let's go down. So Duke Thomas said, any more news on the Halloween series? No, there's not. There's absolutely none. I know that there's some rumours going about just now. It actually happened today where somebody's outlined the script for the series, saying that it's going to be set from 1963 onwards, and it's going to be about Dr. Loomis and being involved in Michael Myers, getting to know him, talking to him in the sanitarium. There's no concrete, well, how do I say this? It's Bill crap. That's all I can say. Just to kind of wrap that up, there's literally no information. Whoever's posted that, they've just fabricated the whole thing. They've not got any sources or anything like that. Unfortunately for me, one of my sources still works for another company that used to have the rights to Halloween. But because that company no longer is involved, then my source that I had for the David Gordon Green trilogy can't give me more information anymore because they're no longer involved with the making of anything Halloween related, unless the rights go back to specific companies, which I cannot name. Unless the rights go back to those, then I will have no more information than you guys, unfortunately. Maybe some people will have sources that will tell me information because I talk about Halloween a lot, but that's the only thing I can go by. And even if they do tell me that, I can't really take it as fact until I do some digging myself. So I might have the pull to get a source for more information, but unfortunately my legit source that I had before with the lead up to all the Halloween films no longer is required. Still friends with the people, but no longer will they be able to feed me information because they don't work for a company that is involved in Halloween anymore. So to answer the question, Duke, nothing. And I think because of the whole Crystal Lake series issues, I don't think the makers of the Halloween series are going to be pushing forward right now, because I think they were trying to wait to see if Crystal Lake was going to be successful or not. And because that's been delayed, then I don't think they're in a rush just now to do anything Halloween related for the series. My hope is, though, if Friday the 13th decides we're going to scrap the TV show and go straight to the movies instead, maybe Halloween will just follow suit and just do the same thing. That's my thoughts so far. Obviously, things can change. And if an idea comes out of a series that sounds great, then my opinion will change as well. Dude said, time jump is so that Sid's kids are older, aka a new Sid 2.0, and for AI tech, which will likely feature in the film. I don't think AI will feature in the film. I think if you're going to de-age or up-age somebody, then you can certainly use de-aging or the old technology that's always been used for that. AI, well, I guess you could call it AI. And if you're calling it AI in future films, it's the same technology as they would use to age someone in a film previously as well. But like I said, I don't think you need to do a time jump because the kids could, or at least the oldest kid, could already be older anyway in 2025. If the film is set in 2025 and it's released in 2025, the kid could have been born in 2009, and that means they're 16 years old, which means they would have been 2 when Sydney returned to Woodsboro in 2011 for the book signing that she was doing for that film. And that's confirmed to be set in 2011 because of what Sam said in the car to Richie on the way to Woodsboro to see her sister. She did mention that it happened in 2011. Scream 5 was set, although it came out in January 2022, a lot of people think it was set in 2022, but it wasn't. It was set in September 2021. That was also confirmed at the end of the movie when you hear the news reporter saying it's been almost 25 years to the day that the events occurred on that night. The original occurred in September 1996. Therefore, the part 5 was set in September 2021. And then we all know that the next movie, Scream 6, which came out in 2023 but was not set in 2023, was set in 2022, possibly around about September, October time, 2022. Obviously, there's Halloween decorations and stuff. So that was set a year after, which again was confirmed in the movie by Sam and her therapist, who mentioned that the events happened a year ago. So 2022 was the last set or the last date in the Scream franchise. So the next movie is going to be set 3 years after that anyway, possibly in 2025. Again, if you want to talk about more Scream stuff, guys, by all means, continue on, and we'll get through them. Papa Woody said, I need news on Wolf Creek 3. I don't know if it was you who mentioned that, which is quite random. I've not seen any news for Wolf Creek for years now. It's only the TV show, but somebody posted yesterday, I think it was, about Wolf Creek 3. When are we getting Wolf Creek 3? And it's just so random that I've seen it within 24 hours now that 2 people have now asked about Wolf Creek 3. No updates. They'll probably never do it. And if they do another Wolf Creek, it probably won't feature John Jarrett as Mick Taylor, because I think he's possibly done with the franchise. He's obviously getting a little bit older as well. I think is he not 70 now or something, or just over 70? So it's possibly not going to happen, to be honest. I'd love to see it, though. I wasn't even looking forward to Wolf Creek 2. I thought a one and done Wolf Creek was fine. Really good movie. And then when Wolf Creek 2 was announced and came out, I thought I might as well see it anyway. And it turned out to be really good as well. So never say never, but I don't think it's going to happen. Sully said, hopes for Longlegs, giving off best horror movie of the year vibes for me. It's certainly looking that way, to be honest, Sully. It's a film that I'm not excited to see. I'm not going to rush out to see it, but it was the exact same thing that happened with It Follows in 2015 for me. I think it was about February 2015. Wasn't looking forward to It Follows. The trailer intrigued me, and I thought, looks decent. Turned out to be one of the greatest horror films of all time. And I think with Micah Monroe being attached to Longlegs, I'm really excited for that, because anything she's been in, whether it's good or bad, she's always really intriguing. There's something about her performances in films that is so natural, so simple, yet so immersive at the same time. And I think we're going to get something really great from her in Longlegs. So I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not totally excited about it. But it looks like it could be one of the best horror films of the year. And I hate saying that because I always jinx it and it ends up terrible. So hopefully it's good. But I think at this moment in time, it's still Maxine for me. I think Maxine is my most anticipated horror movie of 2024. Doesn't mean it's going to be the best. It's just my most anticipated. Kieran Spruce said, hey, Barry, how's it going? Going very well, Kieran. Thanks very much. Go Games asked, what's your favourite modern horror film? My favourite, well, I just mentioned it there. It Follows is my favourite modern horror film. I think it's my third favourite horror movie of all time. Halloween being my favourite from 1978 and Scream being my second favourite from 1996. Obviously, Halloween is now a 70s film, 46 years old. It's considered an old classic, whereas Scream is still kind of considered a modern classic, or a modern cult classic, but at the same time, it's now 26 years old. I think we can consider that an old movie now, unfortunately. I feel old saying that. So It Follows is only 10 years old. So I think we can assume that that's a modern horror film still within the 10-year mark. So my favourite modern horror is It Follows, and that's by a country mile. It's outstanding. If you haven't seen it, go, or if anybody else hasn't seen it, definitely watch it. Especially get excited now that the sequel's coming out called They Follow. Micah Monroe's back for the sequel. Spoiler alert, she survived the first one. And David Robert Mitchell is back to direct. He directed the first one. And what a direction he gave us. Papa Woody says, Cabin in the Woods. No question, just Cabin in the Woods. Sorry. Apologies, Papa. You're probably answering Gul's question. Good film, really good film. Dude said Sid wouldn't have risked her life in Scream 4 if she had kids. Studio wants her daughter to be the new modern Sid. Well, again, that's, you hark back to Scream 5. If she wouldn't risk her life in Scream 4 if she had kids, Why is she risking her life in Scream 5 if she has kids? Question that one. So, yeah, if she's going to risk her life, if she's got kids in Scream 5, she'll certainly do it in Scream 4. Wade F. and Wilson says Scream meets a Stranger Things type vibe if it's younger teenage kids. I think, to be honest, I think that can work, but I don't think they'll go down that route because it's not the style that they go for Scream movies. If they want to change it up a bit, then by all means do something like that. But by doing that, people will say, "Oh, we are just copying other movies and TV shows." Scream's not really one for copying. Scream's one for taking a trend and making it its own thing. It's always been the case. Obviously, with Scream 5 and 6, it's very cheesy. It's very lazy writing for those ones with radio silences, Scream movies, but they still done a similar formula to the first 4 movies. It's just done it in a cheaper way. I just don't see them going down that 80s style route with Stranger Things and the younger cast of 12, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds being chased on their bikes and stuff like that. I think those days are gone. And it only works for certain franchises. I just don't see it happening with Scream, but never say never. If they do it, I'll certainly look forward to it and see if it works, but I don't know if it would work. This is Tom's Word, says, hello. I won't sing the rest. Van Hoff asked, Barry, have you ever seen the awesome 1982 movie Mortuary with Bill Paxton? I have. I've only seen it once and I don't remember it whatsoever. The only thing I remember 2 things about it. One, it's got Bill Paxton in it. And 2, I remember the poster with the gravestone, the tombstone, and the hand coming out. And I think it was the poster artwork that intrigued me to watch the movie, but I've not seen it for about 25 years. Couldn't remember it, but I'll maybe watch it again at some point. I think it came out in 1983 here in the UK. But it's one that I'll need to watch again. Heard good things, but I also heard it's not really dated that well. Chucky and Spidey asked, who is your favourite horror protagonist and icon? It's got to be Michael Myers, to be honest. Obviously, with Michael Myers, Halloween being my favourite horror movie, it comes hand in hand that it's only fitting that Michael Myers... Oh, sorry, I'm saying Michael Myers. What a silly person I am. A protagonist, not an antagonist. Apologies. Protagonist, I would... Oh, it's a tough one, to be honest. There's a few. I mean, obviously, Laurie Strode is up there, but she gets annoying. It's the same with Sidney Prescott, one of my favourite protagonists, but she is also annoying at times. I really like Tommy Jarvis. I love Alex Browning from Final Destination, although he's only in one movie, so it's hard for him to be one of my favourites. Oh, it's a tough one. Good question as well, though. A protagonist. You know, for their time as well, Andy from Chucky is also a really good protagonist. And I think it's because I was really young when I watched the first few Chucky movies that I put myself into his place, into his position, and imagined me being Andy. And it's the same with Jamie Lloyd in Halloween 4 and 5. I imagine being them because I was their age watching those movies. Good question, though. Protagonist, I just don't know. Icon, I guess that could mean a protagonist or an antagonist, and it has to be Michael Myers. So he shouldn't really be an icon because he's a bad guy, but he is. He's an icon of horror now. Good question, though. Aliens on VHS said, hey, Barry, big fan. Thanks very much, Alien, and thanks for joining the chat. We're asked, did you catch the clip they put up for In a Violent Nature? No, I did not. I seen 2 trailers for it. I watched a teaser trailer that didn't show much, and then I watched the full trailer, which also didn't show much. It's a good concept, but a concept that I don't think can work. I've not seen the movie yet, so obviously time will tell. I've heard good things, I've heard bad things, I've heard boring things. It's another movie I'm just not going to be rushing out to see, but at the same time, I will watch it when I've got time to see it. but I haven't seen the clip, so I'm guessing the clip maybe gives things away. I don't know. Chucky is back with another question. What is your favourite horror fight sequence between the protagonist fighting the killer? Also, what was your thoughts on Corey Feldman wanting a Tommy versus Jarvis movie? Corey Feldman versus Tom Matthews. Corey Feldman versus Tom Matthews? Corey... Also, what was your thoughts on Corey Feldman wanting a Tommy versus Jason movie? Well, it wouldn't be Corey versus Tom Matthews because Corey and Tom play the same character. They both play Tommy. So it would be one or the other versus Jason. I did remember Corey Feldman wanted to play Tommy again. Unfortunately, the guy can't act anymore. The guy can't sing. The guy can't do anything. I would much rather Tom Matthews continue on as Tommy Jarvis like he did in Vincent DeSantis' Never Hike Alone series. So he would be my pick if Tommy Jarvis did come back to the big screen. It would only make sense because he's obviously played the role a couple of times now. Corey Feldman, is sad to say it, one of my favourite child actors of all time. He ain't acting in any big films ever again. He's lost it. He's lost everything. He's lost his mentality. He's lost his acting skills. It's a shame. And I don't want to obviously talk down about the guy. He's just obviously scarred for life, I guess. It's a shame. I've got a super chat. Apologies, I didn't see a super chat coming in, Johnny. Johnny Hideout UK sends in £1.99. Thanks very much for that, Johnny. Johnny said, "Hey Barry, are you going to Fright Fest this year?" I'm not. It's Fright Fest in August. I've never been to Fright Fest before, Johnny. I've never ever been. Don't even know where it is. Let me know where it is. If it's close by, possibly. But I'm currently saving up for the Love of Horror in October, which is in Manchester. And it's quite expensive for me because I'm obviously in Glasgow, so I have to travel there, travel back, which is expensive. And then I need to get a hotel. I'm doing Monday to Friday as well, so it's an expensive hotel. It's like £330 for the hotel, which I grudge paying, but I need to do it, unfortunately. So annoying. But yeah, let me know more about Fright Fest. I'm sure it's in August. Is that like Arrow Video sponsor or something? Not too sure. The Emperor Rises said, "Do you think we'll get something new from the Candyman series in the next few years? Majorly underrated series, in my opinion. I don't think we will, to be honest. Genuinely, like, where do you go with the Candyman franchise or series? The first movie was great. So scary and unique. I didn't mind the next, is it 2 movies after that? Day of the Flesh or something? Or was it only 2 movies? And then the reboot? Can't remember. But I remember thinking the sequel was not bad. And then the reboot in 2021, it was all right. Quite creepy, quite unique. Some really scary moments in it, but I just don't see it going anywhere after that. I think they've told their story twice now, very similar to each other. I don't know. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I just don't know where they would go with it, to be honest. Chucky and Spidey has asked, "Have you seen the Midnight Meat Train with Vinnie Jones?" I have seen it, but I don't remember it. And I know it was 2008, which was only 16 years ago, and I don't remember. I remember it being one of the first movies I saw Bradley Cooper in, apart from The Wedding Crashers. But I don't remember much about it. That's scary. I'm only 40 years old, and I'm forgetting 16 years ago. I remember it's 2008. That's a bonus. Is it good? Aliens on VHS asked, "Hi Barry, what is the scariest experience?" Oh, that's a good question. I'll tell you in a second. "What is the scariest experience with a movie you have had in the cinema?" Oh, in the cinema. I think mine was when The Exorcist was re-released in 2003. I saw a midnight showing for the first time. I wish I could answer you, aliens, and I'll show you why I can't in 2 seconds. Let me just add an overlay of the reason I can't do it. Good question as well. I want to answer. There we go. Hopefully you're still here for the answer here. So, there we go. Let me just take the comment off so you can see it. So I will be doing, I've actually already shot this, I've just not edited it yet, my top 10 scariest moments in horror movies. So as a sneak peek for all you guys who's in the chat just now, you get to see it first. That's one of the videos I've got done. I've already done my top 10 scariest moments. And I did mention in the video that these types of, let me just take this off. These types of videos are very subjective because what scares me might not scare you and vice versa. So I feel like one of these videos is good because everybody's top 10 is going to be different. And the reason I can't answer this question, aliens, is because a cinema experience I had is in the top 10 and I don't want to give that away. So I will be answering your question, or I already have answered it, but you just need to wait for the video if you can. But I promise the answer is there because there is one on there. Most of the films on, well, a lot of the films on the list are from when I was a younger kid because a lot of things scared me back then. But there are a couple on there that I saw in the cinema, and your answer will be in there. So apologies, I can't answer it just now. Boom, 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 boom. Sorry, I keep skipping back. Here we go. Good Game said, which Pennywise actor was your favourite, Tim or Bill? For me, it's definitely Bill Skarsgård. This is one that I believe is equal. I think Bill is scarier for the modern audience, and I think Tim is the better performer and scary performer for the older generation. Like I was, what age was that? I must have been about 9 when I watched it, the first one, the miniseries, and I just feel like he frightened the life out of me for years. So when I saw the movies in 2017 and 19, I wasn't sure if Bill Skarsgård was going to be able to live up to Tim Curry's performance, and he absolutely did. I don't think he was better, but I don't think Tim Curry was better either. So I have to say they were both equally as great as each other. Both complement each other as well. Jean asked, do you have any non-horror movies you like? Oh, of course. My favourite movie of all time is not horror. It's Titanic from 1997. Back to the Future. Big Trouble in Little China. The Goonies. What else? The Shawshank Redemption, The Dark Knight, Terminator 2. So many movies that aren't considered horror are at the top of my list. Halloween's obviously my favourite horror, but my favourite movie overall, including horror, is Titanic. James Cameron's Titanic. If you want to know my top 25 movies, not just horror, but movies of all time, I do have that video on my channel for anyone who wants to see it. Paul B asked, hey Barry, have you watched any of the Chucky TV series? If so, thoughts so far? I haven't watched it. I watched the first 5 minutes of the very first episode and turned it off because the quality was diabolical. I've saw some clips online that look diabolical. I've seen some of the plots for season 2 and season 3, I think it's on now, and it just looks like mince. I mean, I don't like Seed of Chucky, and it looks like every episode is like Seed of Chucky. It's not my bag, unfortunately. Give me the remake every day over the Chucky TV series. I guess you watch it. If you watch it, what do you think of it? Is it like Seed of Chucky, or is it better, or is it different? I don't like Tiffany. I don't like their son or daughter. I don't like any of those storyline arcs within the Chucky franchise. I like Chucky 1, Child's Play 2, Child's Play 3, Bride of Chucky. It was okay, but because Tiffany was there, it took me out of the movie. I like Curse of Chucky because it took it back to its roots, and then Cult just went crap again. Chucky Inspired to say my 3 favourite horror protagonists are Andy Barclay, Tom Matthews is Tommy Jarvis, and Sidney Prescott. I think I mentioned all three of them. So I think we're quite similar. Vanderhoff asked, have you ever seen 1987 classic killer workout horror movie? Yeah, I have seen it. It was not good. I think I had to watch it over 2 or 3 nights as well because it was so bad. The only reason I watched it, obviously, was the front cover. Bad movie, but a good bad movie. Gil Games said, can't wait to go to For the Love of Horror. Oh, you're going? I think, did we mention that before? If you see me, come and say hi. Magacat's in the house. Hey, Barry. Hey, Magacat. Chucky and Spidey said, yeah, I remember when I was watching a video about Corey Feldman wanting a Tommy versus Jason, but in the comments, people were like, no, how about Tom Matthews as Tommy versus Jason? Did you watch Bloodlines Friday? What's that? What's Bloodlines Friday? I don't know what that is. Is that like a fan film? I think the only fan films I've seen with if it's a fan film, the only fan films I've seen with Jason are the Never Hike It Alone series fan films, and some of my friends have made a few Jason fan films that I've watched as well. But that's it. That's if you meant a fan film. I don't know what Bloodlines Friday is though. 2 seconds and I'll take a drink. Okay, next up we've got David James. Welcome, David, all the way from South Africa. Hey, Barry. I remember you were going to do an Urban Legend fan film. Is that project you're still pursuing? Apologies if I missed updates on this. No, you haven't missed any updates, David. Well, you have, but you haven't really. I'm still wanting to do it. I've got a little script ready for it. A script that would maybe last 20 minutes or so. It's not like a motion feature length movie or anything, but I've got a little chat. I just saw the word chat there. I've got a little script that it would kind of work, but not quite. And it would only involve 2 or 3 people. It's maybe 1 or 2 scenes, and it does a little thing that I think is quite quirky. But I'm on and off with it because of my works. It's really busy at the moment. Excuse me, not my YouTube stuff, but my actual work. It takes precedent over most things, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it. And any time that I get spare, I kind of obviously spend with the family, and any other spare time I get is through YouTube. So it's hard to find the time. Maybe in the summer, I'll try and do something. The kids are obviously off for 6 weeks or so in the summer. Maybe try and do something then. But if I can't, it needs to wait till next summer after that, and so on and so on. So you've not missed anything, David. It's just kind of sitting on the back burner. That's why I've not done any like Indiegogos or anything for it, because I just can't meet targets like that, unfortunately. Hey, not JPEG, welcome to the chat. Alien said, was chatting to my old man about when he saw Aliens back in '86 at the cinema and how it changed his movie-going life forever. I have high hopes that Romulus could and hopefully will do this for me. Oof, it's a tall ask, because most, if not all, Alien films after Aliens 1986 was bitterly disappointing, to say the least. Amfood Movie Mania is in the house. He said, hey, good to be back. Even though Scream 6 is set in New York, if Dewey was never killed off and still alive for Scream 6, what relevance could he have had if he wouldn't leave Woodsboro? He would have no relevance. So if everybody moves out to New York and he's the only one that's left behind, the only thing they could do with him is for him to be on the phone to maybe Gail, because Gail's obviously went to New York to pursue her career. But would she have went to New York had Dewey not died? Well, yeah, she probably would, because in Scream 5, they split up. So she would have went to New York, pursued her career in New York. He would have stayed at home. So if he didn't die, I would only imagine that he would only be there as a phone call to Gail. Maybe Gail phones Dewey and says, I don't know, how's Sydney, Mark and the kids? And Dewey would go, yep, they're good, all good. And then Gail would be like, okay, bye. And then that would be it. So there's no significance. So I think if Dewey didn't die, he would either have to go to New York to look after the girls. Don't know why he would do that. Or they wouldn't set it in New York. They'd have to still set it in Woodsboro. So that's what I think. Not JPEG asked, Stir of Echoes 1 or 2? I've only seen Stir of Echoes 1, so I'm going for that. And I think even if I had seen part 2 with Rob Lowe, I think, I would probably still choose part 1. Sally asked, have you got a chance to see In a Violent Nature yet? Seeing it tonight and excited to see what it's all about. I haven't seen it yet, no, Sally. Again, it's not one that I want to rush out and see, but I will see it eventually. Ever read Fangoria magazine? I have. I've actually got a few, or I've had a few over the years. Just not bought it or read it in years. Chucky and Spidey said, Friday the 13th Bloodlines is another fan film, but Tom Matthews shows up at the end and fights Jason. No, I've never seen that one. Never ever. Again, I'm not a big fan of fan films. I feel like I have had people in the past asking me to review their fan films for them. And for me, I'm very honest, but I still respect every fan film that's made because it's hard to make a movie, especially when you have no money. And there was one time where someone, I won't mention them, it was for a Friday the 13th movie, funnily enough. They sent me a link to the fan film. I watched it. I didn't like it at all. It wasn't good. It wasn't well made. It wasn't well acted. It wasn't well done. Anything, nothing was good about it, other than the fact that they were able to do a feature-length film. And I was honest. I gave them the pros, of course. I gave them the cons. It just so happened that the cons outweighed the pros. And then after I'd done my review for it, I got a few comments from some of the people who were involved in the movie telling me I didn't know what I was talking about and I should bleep, etc. And I'm like, oh, I'm done. Don't ask me to review any of your stuff again. And the funny thing is, one of those people actually contacted me later on with another fan film that they're making and said, hey, do you want to do a trailer reaction to my new fan film? And I'm like, no, I didn't say no, I just ignored it. And then they sent me another one when they brought out another teaser trailer for the other the same new fan film that's not out yet. And like, hey, do you want to do a trailer reaction? And I just know that they're not sending it to me personally. They're probably just click send to all. And I've got that thing. And even before that, when they didn't hate my review, they would never interact with me. And I noticed that there was other people that they didn't interact with. They were just sending things out to people. And then they would eventually watch the review. If they liked the review, they'd be like, oh, great, you're amazing. But if you didn't if you didn't review it well, or if you were honest, then their cronies, as we call them, would let you know about it. So that's why I don't really get into fan films that much, to be honest. Aliens on VHS said, what are your thoughts on Mike Flanagan picking up Exorcist Deceiver? If I were him, give us a Halloween Kills 1974 moment with Reagan. If I were him, give us a Halloween Kills 1974 moment with Reagan and the mum and the priest flashback opener. That would be sick. Right, okay, I know what you mean. So like a flashback for Halloween Kills, but instead for The Exorcist, you would give us a 1974 moment. Would that be like the events after Exorcist? So like after maybe the priest goes out the window, and then when was The Exorcist set? Was it set in December 73 or October 73? I know it was set in 73. So if you set it maybe a year later and give us like a flashback of what happened after, I know what you mean. It would be interesting, and it would show maybe some cool de-aging of the characters that we may see again in a future film. But I genuinely think the events of the newest Exorcist film will probably be scrapped, and it would just be like a kind of one-off. Those girls will probably not be seen again, and they'll maybe try and make Linda Hamilton, Linda Blair, the main character. That's what I think, but you never know. I don't think Linda Blair's really up for it. She's not really an actress anymore. She deals more with animals, which is very commendable. Goo Game said, I saw someone on Twitter say everyone who likes Halloween Ends are feminized wimps. Can they get more ridiculous? Yeah, they can get more ridiculous. That's probably quite tame for those types of people, to be honest. I've seen a lot of people say that nobody likes Blumhouse because they're woke. And I'm like, come on, guys. I mean, I've seen movies that are woke. I know the term woke is used quite a lot, but it exists. But when it gets used to the point where it's pointless, it's silly. It's like calling people racist. Everybody gets called racist these days. If I don't like a film that just happens to feature someone who's not white, then I'm automatically racist, which then makes the word itself defunct. And I think the same thing's happening with the word woke. Everything's woke, which means nothing's really woke anymore. So it needs to get used properly in order to be taken seriously. But Halloween Ends feminized. Come on. If anything, it was more male-centric. The main character was male, and the killer was male. So, in fact, 2 killers were male. I don't know. People, eh? Oh, Johnny's came back with another super chat. Johnny, thanks very much for that. A £1.99 super chat again. Yes, it's huge. In London, August, I'll be volunteering. See, it's in London. I'd love to go, Johnny, but London as well, it's even further and even more expensive. I knew it was in August. I just didn't know it was in London. That's rubbish. I do know that they've done something in Glasgow before. I'm not sure if it was Fright Fest. Maybe they do like a Glasgow Fright Fest, but if it was in Glasgow, I would obviously definitely go. But London, I'm out. I can't do it, especially it's August as well. It's so close. That's a shame. If you go to any other ones, Johnny, let me know. Not JPEG said, just my opinion, but the Return of the Living Dead film series should have ended after part 3. Well, they kind of did, because parts 4 and 5 were straight to DVD, I believe, and I don't think anybody's seen them. And in fact, if you asked anybody, they would probably think there only is 3 of them. So there you go. Christopher Elam says, I watched You'll Never Find Me last night. It was so great. I've not seen that one. Have I heard of it? Let me just check. You'll Never Find Me. Oh, yeah. I've seen a trailer for that. That came out last year. Not seen that movie yet. In fact, it's sitting on my watch list. I just gone to IMDb to check, and it's there in my watch list. Got a good rating. Not by IMDb users, but by critics. 82%. That's pretty damn good. That's probably why it's on my watch list. No, I've not seen it yet. I'm glad you enjoyed that. No, not JPEG. Best and worst Killer Bee films. Well, I've got a terrible relationship with not just bees, but wasps. I had the nickname when I was younger, the My Girl Kid, because if you've seen My Girl, you know what happens at the end of My Girl. When I was younger, it wasn't bees, but it was wasps. When I was younger, I was playing in this wooded area with my friends. I was only 12 years old, and I jumped into this bush, and I thought I stood on jagged nettles. I was like feeling like pins and needles on my legs, and I was like, oh, I stood in jagged nettles. And I looked down, and then there was all these wasps stinging me and coming up to my body. So I jumped out, I was screaming. Obviously, I was only 12. I was screaming, and I was rolling about, and I just couldn't get all the wasps off me. They just kept stinging me over and over again until I started to black out. And then I woke up like kind of dazed. I remember like crawling up into a ball, and then all of a sudden this woman just lifted me up, and she was carrying me. My friends were with her, so they must have ran and got help, and they must have told her where I lived. So she was carrying me home, but I was coming in and out of consciousness. And when I got home, my mum was screaming. She obviously saw that I was in distress. And luckily, my neighbour, who was a nurse, had a huge jar of vinegar. Don't ask me why, but she had lots of vinegar. And she said I had to go into a bath of vinegar to get the stings out. So I went into a bath of vinegar, and you know when you get a little cut on your lip and you eat something with vinegar on it or salt and it stings? Just imagine how a 12-year-old feels get into this bath full of vinegar with all these stings on them. I was absolutely screaming. And I think I blacked out a few times because of the pain. So I got taken to hospital just in case there's any issues. Obviously, people are allergic to wasps and bees. So if I was allergic, then I obviously would have died instantly because of the amount of stings I got. But when I remember being in the hospital, I always remember to this day, being in the hospital, then the doctor had to try and keep me awake. And in order to do that, what they done to keep me awake was make me count all the little pin marks on my body. And we counted 89. I was stung at least 89 times, not including any private parts that I wasn't looking at, but 89 times I got stung by wasps. So obviously, it was a full swarm of wasps. You'll get over 100 wasps in a swarm. And I got stung by all of them, almost all of them. And I'll never forget that day. Just being in the hospital and just like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. So anything with a bee or a wasp in it, I just hardly ever watched because of that. And then when I watch My Girl and see the end of My Girl, freaks me out because that could have been me. Although it was a wasp, wasps are obviously have the same effect. Whew, what a question. What an answer. Apologies for the long answer. Tony Tucker is here. Reminds me of my old friend Tommy Tucker. Not J-Beg said, did you know that the 1980s song Maniac was meant for the horror movie instead of Flashdance? Didn't know that. Did you also know, not JPEG, that Maniac is my theme song on my channel? But you didn't know that. You'll hear it at the end of this. I'm still thinking about my time with the Wasps there. Dave James said, do you think a Just Before Dawn remake would work, say if picked up by Blumhouse, or should RA? I don't know if you maybe asked that again. Yes, I think Just Before Dawn remake will work because not a lot of people know that the original exists. So if you market the movie as Just Before Dawn and not call it a remake, people will go, oh, this looks interesting. This looks like an original movie. Let's go and see it. So it would absolutely work. Hopefully it would be good. The original is just so amazing that I think it would be hard to beat the original, but you never know. But to answer that question, of course, definitely, I think it would work because of how rare the original is. Just nobody knows about it, apart from you and I. Anthwood, Movie Mania asked if Kevin Williamson directed Scream 7. With Kevin Williamson directing Scream 7, with working so closely to Wes over the franchise, might we see a similar style of directing or some subtle nods to Wes's directing techniques? Yes, absolutely. And the reason for that is because I just recently rewatched Teaching Mrs. Tingle. When I say rewatched, it's probably the first time watching it fully. And I can see already Wes Craven's style in Kevin Williamson's directing, even though he's only directed one movie so far in Teaching Mrs. Tingle. But I think it's helped heavily due to the writing. He was a writer as well. And he obviously wrote Scream 1, 2, and 4. And with such heavy influence on the writing, Wes Craven's directing was pure easy to do and a pure joy for Wes Craven because of how amazing the writing and screenplay was. So with Kevin Williamson directing the next movie, although he's not writing it, he will have influence on the writing, of course, but his style of directing, to me, will probably feel like how he writes things as well. So I think it will have a massive influence. Hopefully it's for the better. But yeah, absolutely. Alien said, Why is it taking so damn long for someone to give us the Nightmare on Elm Street remake we deserve? Kevin Bacon, my choice. It shouldn't be this hard and could kickstart a new profitable franchise. So you have to have one or the other, though, Alien. If you're going to have a franchise, you can't have a 66-year-old Freddy Krueger because you would have to replace him eventually, very soon. If you want Kevin Bacon, then you can't have a franchise because Kevin Bacon, as cool as he is, he's not going to last 7 or 8 movies. He's only going to give you 1, 2 movies maximum, unfortunately. So you'd have to make a decision there. Do you go with Kevin Bacon and give us a one-off? Or do you go with someone 40 years younger and give us an actual franchise? Kevin Bacon wouldn't be my choice anyway. I don't know why people keep saying Kevin Bacon. Is it because he's got bad skin? I don't know. It's just not for me, Kevin Bacon. But he's a cool actor. I think he's really good. And if he'd done a one-off Nightmare on Elm Street as Freddy, I would watch it. Absolutely. David Effrey says, holy crap, I'm so late. How dare my job keep me from Barry? I was disappointed, Davey. When I started this live stream, I was like, where's Davey? And because it's now 56 minutes in, Davey, so disappointing. Although you're here now. If you stay, then great. If you watch it after the fact, then you'll get some cool information, I think. Possibly about bee stings or wasp stings. Good question, JPEG. Are you going to play the Killer Clowns from Outer Space video game? I might, but what I think I need to do first is watch some gameplay on YouTube to see if it's something I want to play. I started playing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game last year and enjoyed it for like 3 days. And I thought, this is boring now. It's repetitive. I like the multiplayer games like Uncharted, where you can go and play multiplayer with other characters, kill them, they kill you, and you start over and over again. I don't like this whole story thing where you have to go and collect pieces of car parts to start a car. It's just rinse and repeat. And it's so boring now. Once you do it one time, it's done. What's the point in continually doing it? I think the multiplayers where you can kill each other is better because you can kill each other in different ways, at different times, different plots, different maps. So if it's something like Uncharted, I'll be interested. But if it's something like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Evil Dead, Friday the 13th, I'll quickly lose interest. So I will play it eventually if it's any good. Good Game said, wish I had a Cineworld where I live. The closest one is in Glasgow, 2.5 hours away. 2.5 hours away? See, I used to go to the one in Glasgow all the time. We've got 3 Cineworlds where I live. There's one in Glasgow, one in the East End at the Glasgow Forge, and what's the other one? Oh, well, I think we've only got 2 left. No, sorry, wait, we've got one in Springburn. So we've got 3. We did have 4. We had the one at the Glasgow Science Centre, but that's shut down now. I don't actually go to Cineworld anymore. I do the Odeon. Odeon's comfier and half price as well. It's only £5 a ticket for an adult in Odeon if you've got an Odeon login, which you get for free. So £5 a ticket for a comfy seat in Odeon. Can't beat that. Tony said, barely anyone knows about Return of the Living Dead 4 and 5. So we good. Truly abysmal stuff. I've never seen them. I saw the posters for them and I thought, I'm out. And I've not even seen any footage for them. I just thought, wow, those posters look like they were made by 6-year-olds on Paint Shop, the free Paint Shop that you get with Windows. David said, oof. Wasps are the freaking worst. I was stung by 2 at the same time when I was about 10. I can't even imagine what you went through. Yeah, it was horrible. Horrible, horrible. Oh, you guys are just talking to each other. That's all good as well. Paul B asked, which 1994 flick would be your pick out of Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction, and Shawshank? Possibly the best year for movies. It absolutely was. Yeah, I think it was the best year for movies. My pick is Shawshank Redemption. It's in my top 25 movies of all time. Unfortunately, Pulp Fiction and Forrest Gump don't quite make the list. However, they are outstanding films. Love them so much. But The Shawshank Redemption beats them. I wouldn't say unfortunately, because all three of them are great. Gene asked, is there a movie franchise you don't like? I don't think there's a franchise I don't like. I will always give a franchise a chance, but there's franchises that are not my taste, but I'll still watch them, like Saw. That franchise is just not my cup of tea, but I will watch them anyway because they're big franchise movies. I went to the cinema to see the first 6 or 7 of them and enjoyed some of them, but I still went into them all thinking, this isn't for me, but I like what I'm watching. I'm just not overly excited about them. So yeah, it's going to have to be the Saw franchise if I have to choose any, but it's not that I don't like it. It's just not me. Any expectations for Beetlejuice 2? That's another thing I was going to talk about. Let me just get my little pictures out. One of the things I was going to discuss today was the Beetlejuice trailer. I recently watched the Beetlejuice trailer and it didn't do anything for me, to be honest, if I'm being fully honest. Now, I've got this. Here's another sneak peek. I'm going to be doing a Beetlejuice movie review. I've not seen Beetlejuice for quite some years now. I remember it. I remember everything that happens in it, but I'll obviously need to rewatch it before I do my review, obviously in the lead up to Beetlejuice. I wasn't even looking forward to the second movie because I remember thinking the original was overrated. I liked it, but it was way overrated in my opinion. I wonder if I've still got the same feelings when I watch it again, but I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to either, but it's just not I'm not anticipating anything great, to be honest. So nah. I mean, I was thinking maybe the trailer will be cool. I think Catherine O'Hara will steal the show. She'll be better than everybody there. I think Winona Ryder will also do well. And I think it was quite interesting that they got the cast back, getting Catherine O'Hara, getting Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder back to play those roles. I thought that was impossible, but they've done it. So maybe it will surprise me, but I'm just not a big Beetlejuice fan. The original Beetlejuice reminded me of being a kid as well, because I had the Beetlejuice figures. I watched the Beetlejuice cartoon. It just reminds me of being young. And I think that's what connects me to the original film. So maybe I will like it more as an adult because I appreciate it now more than when I was a kid. But it's just a film that I felt was really overrated for some reason. Ghoul Games said, what did you think of Baby Reindeer, by the way? Absolutely loved it. It's so big now that it's made it to America. That's how big Baby Reindeer is. Richard Gadd as Donnie, as himself, obviously he's playing himself, is unbelievable. The last 2 episodes, when he breaks down on stage, when he reveals things, when he breaks down, whoa, what a performance. And then the last episode, when he breaks down to his parents and tells his parents what happened, geez Louise. There's a person on Twitter that created their account this month, and their sole purpose is to troll me. Every time they talk to me on Twitter now, I just write Martha. I just pretend that it's Martha following me. They're nuts. They're absolutely nuts. But there's people out there like that, and that's just one of them. But Baby Reindeer, what a show. If you haven't seen it, guys, definitely check it out. David said, Kevin Bacon would have been a great Freddy 20 years ago, but now it's got to be Jared Bankins playing Freddy. Yeah, David, you've mentioned Jared Bankins before, and I agree. Freddy could have been played by Kevin Bacon 20 years ago. Maybe he could have started off doing Freddy versus Jason, since they obviously replaced Kane Hodder, sorry. I was thinking of Ken Kersinger there, but it was Ken Kersinger who played Jason in Freddy versus Jason. Had they replaced Robert Englund then, maybe we could have been doing a few Freddy films. But again, A Nightmare on Elm Street's not happening right now either. So You never know. Alien said, "Okay, I'll take the Nightmare franchise. Forget the Kevin Bacon. Is there an actor you have in mind for a reboot? I guess an unknown can always surprise you, but curious who you would cast. I would cast an unknown, but if I had to cast a known actor, for me it would have to be Tom Hiddleston, who plays Loki. He's just at a good age. He's only he's 43 this year, so he could play Freddy for 15, 20 years up until he's 63. No problem at all. So I would go with him. Again, that's just off the top of my head. He was off the top of my head when I first thought of him. But also, I actually quite like the... oh my God, what's his name again? He's going to hate me for this. He follows me on Twitter as well. Kyle Gallner. Kyle Gallner would be a really good Freddy as well. He's younger. He's younger than me. He's only 37 this year. So he could play Freddy for 25 years, 30 years. He's a great actor. He's getting better with age as well. And he was also in A Nightmare on Elm Street remake from 2010. So he's already kind of in the franchise. But this time he could be playing the star role as the antagonist, Freddy Krueger. But yeah, I think an unknown would be the best option for me. Van der Hoff said, Barry, what are your thoughts on As Above, So Below? Great found footage movie. Well, I'm actually doing a kind of roundup of a found footage list, and that's on the list. I've never seen it. Never seen it at all. Does look good though. I've heard good things about it. I've also heard bad things, but mostly good. Not seen it, but I'm looking forward to watching that one. Yeah, Wade, Robert Nepper would have made an interesting Freddy too. Yeah, and he would have been my pick 20 years ago. Well, I wouldn't say 20, maybe 15 or so years ago. After watching Prison Break, I'm like, this guy is creepy. This guy could play Freddy Krueger. And if I had my YouTube account at the time, I would have been saying, because I did say it at the time, he needs to be Freddy Krueger. And obviously he wasn't Freddy Krueger, but he's like a year older than Kevin Bacon. So he's too old to play Freddy now, but 15, 20 years ago, absolutely. Got to go soon. Dinner time, JPEG. You always have your dinner at this time. Eat it before or eat it after. I'm only joking. But it's always nice to see you in here asking questions. David James said, have you got tickets for Deadpool and Wolverine? See some recovery for Marvel. Recently, it has been a bit of a horror show for Marvel. Yeah, absolute horror show. And yes, I have booked my tickets. I don't usually. It's weird that you asked that question, David, because I don't ever book tickets for movies well in advance. But something compelled me to book tickets for it. It is an older film, so it's a film for older audience here in the UK, so my kids can't go and see it. So I have to go myself. So I thought to myself, well, I might as well just book a ticket for it. So I've booked my ticket for Thursday night. It's like a midnight showing, Friday morning. So I'll be one of the first people in the UK to see it, which is cool. Aliens on VHS said, top 3 nostalgic and favourite games growing up. I'll go Silent Hill PS1, Shenmue on Dreamcast, and Robocop vs Terminator on Mega Drive. I'm definitely going Robocop versus Terminator on Mega Drive, 100%. Played that all the time. Absolutely loved it on the Mega Drive. Also, I don't know if you've heard of it, but Black Belt on the Master System, the Sega Master System. Absolutely loved that. And I think I loved it because of the score on it. It was a great score. Sonic the Hedgehog on Master System and Mega Drive were also great. Resident Evil, the original Resident Evil on PS1, freaked the hell out of me. Absolutely loved that as well. Ooh, there's a lot. I mean, I grew up as like the ultimate gamer. If I was 20 years younger and I started gaming now, I would be totally gaming every single day because gaming was my thing when I was younger. The Atari was my first console. Then I had the Sega Master System. Then I had the Sega Mega Drive, and then it was all Sony after that. Sony PS1, PS2, PS3, 4, and now 5. But yeah, I was a huge gamer back in the day. I still play games, but not religiously anymore. Yeah. Splatterhouse 2 on Mega Drive. Now that was some game. Is that the one with the fake Jason Voorhees, I'm sure? I didn't think you had Mega Drive in South Africa, David. I know that the Mega Drive is called the Sega Genesis in a lot of countries. Obviously, the US calls it the Genesis. But Mega Drive, I guess that's more worldwide than, or international than the US. Chucky asked, do you think they will make a Collector 3? I've never seen any Collector movies. Is one called The Collector and then the other one's called The Collection? Or is it just called Collector 2? Never seen them. Are they worth watching? Just, there's something about them I just didn't. I felt like they were like Saw and Hostel and stuff. And like I mentioned before, I'm not into that kind of film. So I thought the Collector movies were like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just not too sure. Davey's an old man, so for him, it's all about Castlevania franchise on the NES. Did we not have Castlevania on Mega Drive as well? I'm sure we had Castlevania on the Mega Drive, and obviously Genesis for you, Davey. I'm sure that was on the Mega Drive as well. But NES, which is the Nintendo, I think that's newer than the Master System, I believe, and the Atari, obviously. So if you're old, Davey, so am I. Well, we are old together, aren't we? Because we're only a year apart. 2 seconds. Whew. Right. Let me go back to my pictures. So the cat was out the bag. Oh, let me just. Sorry, Davey, your comments there. The cat was out the bag for the top 10 scariest moments that I'll be doing. Hopefully, I'll get that released next week or the week after. After that, well, I want to show you some of my new merch that I've released over the past week or so. I do merch now and again, and most of my merch is on my Spring account, which you see linked to my YouTube channel. And this is the one I released last week, which is the new hoodie that they're doing. It's embroidered hoodie, so my new logo is on there, and it's also on the sleeve as well, which is quite cool. I've ordered a sample for that to see how it looks. I should get that shortly. To go with that, you get the t-shirt, which is cool. So you can order the t-shirt. Everything that I'm showing you here is available now. So if you do like your t-shirts, then please check them out. And not just my own stuff I do what I call my obscure collection, where I don't make it obvious of the thing that you're looking at. And if you know about it, then you know the movie. My latest one that I've just actually released today is the Hillcrest Academy logo. I had to completely redesign that. I completely redesign everything anyway, but because the logo was so bad, so like low quality, I couldn't find anything that resembled what I thought the image really looked like. So I had to just go with what I thought looked quite similar. So that's my Hillcrest Academy's logo. The font's the same for Hillcrest Academy, but everything there is different but similar to the original from Halloween H2O. So if you love your Halloween H2O and you love your obscure stuff, then check that out. I don't put the name of the movies on the t-shirts that I've seen people do, so you won't see anything that says Halloween H2O. I wanted it to look authentic, like it's supposed to be the real thing. And if you put the word Halloween H2O on it, it's going to lose that authenticity. Here's a good one for you guys from the UK. I'm sure if some of you guys are still there, you'll know what it is. And that is my global video. This is another complete redesign from scratch. Everything you see in this image has been completely redesigned by myself. Nothing's been copied or traced from Google or anything like that. It's just a complete redesign. And I've done it to the point where it looks almost identical, if not completely identical to the original. Global Video, for those of you who don't know, is a old video chain that died out in 2006 or something. It was based mostly in Scotland, but it's all around the UK. And it's like Blockbuster Video. It's like the second largest video chain back in the 90s, the 80s, 90s, and the noughties. Blockbuster came and took over, and Global Video kind of went out of business before Blockbuster. So like in the US. Obviously, Blockbuster was the big one for you in the US, but there was a little smaller chains like Suncoast Videos and stuff like that. That's kind of on the level of global video from where we were from, or from where we are from, I should say. So that's just some of the merch stuff that I've got. If you're interested in it, you can certainly check it out on my link. Even if you're not going to buy anything, just click the link and you can have a little browse around, and you'll see some cool designs that I make. All the designs that are there is things that I've made from scratch. It's not something I've copied from anybody else. It's not something I've taken from anybody else. I've obviously taken some designs from my head and redesigned some popular things. So check them out. Let's go back to the chat. David said, I had one brought from the UK. We also on Region 2. So follow UK on most things here. Oh, that's cool. So your Mega Drive is UK based and stuff. That's cool. Makes sense as well. Obviously, you're all English speaking, or a lot of you are English speaking in South Africa. And this is about the Collector franchise that Chucky's mentioned. Yeah, that is right. They're not bad movies. Actually, Collector is one of those horror icons of 2000s. Again, it's not something that just interested me at all for some reason, but I should check it out. I owe it to myself. Is it me you're looking for? Hi, Barry. Hi, is it me you're looking for? Is that you, Lionel? David said, really dig that hoodie, Barry. I can tell that you're a soccer fan. Yeah, is it because of the placement of it? For some reason, I always have to put my logos on the left-hand side. It's the same with this. First person to tell me where this is from gets a cookie. Go. And if you don't know, you're not a horror fan. I'm only joking. Aliens on VHS said, Barry, what was the first horror film you remember watching on VHS as a kid? I think mine was the Halloween 7 to 8 TV version. I was only 8. I had cool parents. Didn't mess me up that much. I had cool parents as well, to be honest. You know, my parents aren't cool anymore because they annoy me. But when I was younger, I could watch anything I wanted. And I think the first VHS I ever watched, it was a copy. So like it was on TV. My dad recorded it. And if you don't know the story, it's the first horror movie I ever watched or ever remember watching was Just Before Dawn from 1981. I was only about 5 years old at the time, and I still remember it. Obviously I remember the movie because I've watched it lots of times, but I still remember the first time I watched it as a 5-year-old. One of my earliest memories, and I just absolutely loved it. Made me fall in love with horror movies, and that was the first one I watched on VHS as a kid. I'm cheating a little bit because it's not one that we purchased or rented from the store, but it's one that I will always remember. LOL. And Davey got it right. Scream. It's Randy's video store t-shirt, Bradley Video, as seen in Scream 1 and Scream 5. You got it as well, William. Nope, wrong one. You got it as well, William. Scream. Lionel Richie got it as well. Scream. Yeah, the logo on the sleeve. I like that on the new logo. David James said, do you find YouTube has been carried away with fake trailers? Oh, yeah, always. I mean, I make fake trailers myself. I don't disguise it as a real trailer, though. I always put down, like, I try and make the thumbnail look as good as possible, but I do say, like, concept trailer and stuff so that people aren't duped. Some people still feel they're duped after they watch it and go, that was fake. I'm like, well, it's not fake because you're watching it, so it's a real trailer. It's just a concept trailer for my vision. But if you don't like it, that's fair enough. And if you don't read it, that's your problem. But yeah, the YouTube is flooded with fake trailers. Some are good, but some are bad. Real bad. What else have we got here? So we've discussed Scream. I know, Davey, you're just in the chat, but we were discussing Scream for the first 20 minutes or so, talking about the time jump. So if you want to check that out later on, then by all means go back and watch that. I also done a video about it earlier on today, just giving the kind of bullet points of that. Next Tuesday, I'm not leaving yet, guys, but I'm just letting you know some of the things that have been happening lately. For those of you who don't know, I'm doing the Night of the Demons franchise. I've already released the first one, Night of the Demons. It's doing quite well just now, especially for an older film and a movie review that I do. So obviously the next one is going to be Night of the Demons 2, which will be coming this Saturday. So look out for that if you're a fan of the Night of the Demons franchise. Naturally, every Saturday after that is going to be another Night of the Demons, which is Night of the Demons 3. The week after that is going to be, you guessed it, Night of the Demons from 2009. And then to round that off, as I usually do with movie reviews for franchises, is I will be doing a ranking of all the Night of the Demons movies. So look out for that. Again, that'll be on a Saturday as well. Before that, though, next Tuesday, I'll be doing my usual live stream on the Tuesday, but I'll have a special guest. I will have Evan from Rockland Graves Productions joining me next Tuesday night. So it's not just going to be myself chatting this time. And as you can see, it looks like the topic's going to be Halloween, and it certainly is. Evan loves the Halloween franchise, and he actually really enjoys the David Gordon Green franchise, especially. I'm not saying especially, but he really enjoys Halloween Ends. So both of us are going to be diving into David Gordon Green's trilogy, specifically that trilogy for Halloween, talking about what we liked about it, talking about the things that we obviously didn't like, anything we would change, etc. Just getting right into the Halloween franchise. Evan's channel is blowing up right now, which is fantastic for him. So he hasn't done a lot of Halloween content on his channel, but he does love Halloween. So hopefully maybe this video can kind of spread his legs for talking about Halloween a little bit more. And obviously I love talking about Halloween as well. So it's a match made in heaven. So look out for that next Tuesday, same time, of course, for those of you guys who are still here with me. So that's just kind of what to look forward to that's coming up on the channel over the next couple of weeks, starting from next Tuesday. Starting from Saturday with Night of the Demons 2, which I really enjoy doing the Night of the Demons franchise because it's an older franchise. It's very cheesy as well. So, and I do get a lot of interaction with people who also enjoy it as well. So that's quite cool. So look out for that stuff, guys. Chucky and Spidey said, I love Never Hike Alone 2. I love Tom Matthews kicking Jason's ass. But I think the action scenes in Friday the 13th Bloodlines was better. It sounds like you're really trying to sell this Bloodlines to me. I'll probably not watch it, to be honest, because, again, fan films are just so many of them now. If there's a fan film that looks really interesting, I'll certainly check it out. If it catches my eye naturally, then I'll certainly check it out. But like I said before, with the experiences I've had with fan films, not the fan films themselves, but people who actually make the fan films, it can get quite toxic. And I don't want to get involved in all that toxicity with people back and forth. You know, if somebody wants my honest opinion on a film, I'll give it. And if they don't like my honest opinion on that, that's their problem and not mine, unfortunately. Is it me you're looking for? Says, remember The Hills Have Eyes? Of course I remember The Hills Have Eyes. It's one film that I prefer the remake over the original. The original is very dated, but still quite enjoyable for its time. But yeah, the remake's a lot better. Chucky said, my favourite horror movie is Child's Play 2, Friday the 13th 6, Never Hike Alone 2, Blade and Lost Boys. Never Hike Alone 2 is one of your favourite horror movies? I mean, I love fan films. I think I enjoy fan films for what they are, but no fan film would ever reach my top 100 horror movies, maybe even my top 500 horror movies. But it's cool that you enjoy it. I mean, it's good, but certainly wouldn't break anywhere near my top 100 horror films. Child's Play 2 is my favourite Child's Play movie, so I agree with you there. Friday the 13th Part 6 is one of my favourite Friday the 13th movies. I agree with you there. Blade, I love it, but I don't consider it a horror movie simply because it's a Marvel movie, which is annoying for me. I'm annoyed with myself because I don't consider it a horror film, but I can see that it is horror. But there's just something about it that just says to me, no horror. It's not horror. It's action comic book Marvel. And Lost Boys, of course, yeah, that's definitely up there as well. So really good choices. I'm just a bit miffed by your Never Hike Alone 2. I just don't consider it. Maybe it's because I don't consider it a movie. Alien said, have you had any what would be considered unexplained, real paranormal experiences in your life? Yeah, I have. I actually done a video on it a few years ago. Must have been about 4 or 5 years ago now, that video. My biggest experience happened over the space of 2 nights. And I don't know if it's because I was freaking myself out. Like I had the internet. It was about, I don't know, 20 years ago. So the internet was very accessible. It was 2003, 2004. And I remember looking up, I was reading about Charles Manson and the Manson murders and the whole events of that night, which freaked me out big time. And then I went from that to reading about the Amityville horror online. Obviously, the internet was kind of slow at the time, but still kind of picking up pace. And over the course of 2 nights, the first night, it was not too late, as I would say 6 at night. And I was waiting for my big sister to come. We were going out to the shops. So she was coming to get me. And I was in the house myself at the time waiting for her. I was 19 at the time, so it was fine. I was an adult. And I remember being on my computer and my sister sent me a message saying, I'll be 5 minutes. I said, right, okay, cool. And before she came, I shit you not, I was in my room and next door to me is my mum and dad's room, but again, they're not home. And this is what I heard. Listen to this. I heard this. And I heard it. And as I heard it, my sister came. She was outside. And I jumped down the stairs like I didn't touch any step. I must have jumped down the whole flight of steps without reaching in the middle steps. Boom, boom, out the door, done. And I never even questioned it. I just thought, what on earth is that? And I think it was a mixture of just scaring myself and possibly maybe the window was opened in my parents' room and maybe it was someone outside that was making that noise. But I swear it sounded like it was coming from inside that room. Just the person like clearing their throat and then doing the little humming. I'm actually scaring myself right now. So yeah, that was the first night. In fact, it happened on the same night. Apologies, it all happened on the same night. I got back from the shops with my sister, still a little bit freaked out by what I heard earlier. And stupid me, of course, went back on my computer and started looking up scary paranormal stories again. Naturally, by doing that, I'm building up this kind of fear of going to bed that night. But I went to bed, and as I was in my bed, I had the covers over me. It was pitch black, of course. And I felt like there was something there, like here, behind me. And covers were like this, and this thing was here. I just felt like somebody was like behind me about to whisper. I didn't hear any noises. I just felt like somebody was there. So I kept on doing this, like as if, like thinking it was my little brother, maybe playing a joke on me. My little brother was 6 years younger than me, 7 years younger. So I kept on doing this as if that's you, you're going to get a bloody nose. So I kept on doing this and there was nothing there. So I just kept the covers there. And as I'm feeling goosebumps again. As the covers were over me, I could feel the covers doing this. Like they were coming off me. The covers felt like they were coming off me, even though I had that tight grip. And at that point, I started to sweat. And then I kept on making noises as if whatever it was is going to go away. So I kept on going, uh, I just kept on doing that, like just being random. My parents were in, everybody was home, it was bedtime, everybody was sleeping. My sister doesn't stay with me, but it was my parents that were still living there. I was living with them, and my little brother was in another bedroom. So I was making a lot of noise. And this is a 19-year-old man hoping that the noise that I'm making, my parents would get up and put their light on or the hall light on. I was too scared to lift over the covers in case there was something there. I was too scared to get up and put the light on in case there was something there. But still, I had it in the back of my mind that it was my little brother that was there. And I still didn't want to get up thinking he's going to give me the fright of my life. And even though I think it's him, I'm going to get a fright anyway. So either way, eventually, because whatever it was felt like it was touching me, I just had to get up. I had to just jump up and with my covers like this and ran and put the light on, and there was nobody there. And I was like, oh my God, absolutely frightened the life out of myself. And do you know what I done after I got up and couldn't sleep? Yep, you guessed it. Went back online and looked up scary stuff again. That's just what I done. Scared myself to death. So I've got other stories that's in the video that I mentioned, but that's just my latest and greatest of that last 24 hours of living in that house. The funny thing is, that house is over there, across the back. I now live across the road or across the back from my old house. How weird is that? Same layout as well, the exact same kind of house, only across the back from me. In that house, I lived from 1997 to 2007. Moved away, started a family, bought a house elsewhere, then bought this house in 2018. So I've been away from this area for 11 years, and now I'm back again. So that was a very long-winded story, and I do apologise, but that was my story. Where was that? So yeah, aliens, that's my unexplained real paranormal experience in my life. I don't believe in ghosts or anything, or do I? I don't know. Obviously, our spirits go somewhere, I guess. You know, when you're dreaming, you go somewhere where you're not in your mind. Maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know. But that's my experience. Quite scary. How long are we at? We're at an hour, just over an hour and a half. So I'm going to be cutting it, not short, but I'm going to be cutting it soon, guys. So if you're still watching and you've got any quick questions, I can certainly fire those in. If you guys have got any paranormal experiences, share those because they are freaky stuff. That's just people answering. He did when it was at his mother's house. About what? Oh, you must have watched that video. I was just going to say that's literally the story I was telling. It's amazing you remembered that. He did when he was at his mother's house about 18, 19 years ago. Yep, that's the story I was just telling. Amazing. I didn't know you watched me for that long. Is it me you're looking for? That's cool. Somebody's been watching me for a long time. Chucky and Spidey said, yeah, I heard about that. I know Rambora for Life had a problem with never hiking the snow. I didn't mind that, but it wasn't precisely needed. Should have had bad Tommy fighting Jason in the snow. Is that you talking to somebody else? I really like that though, never hiking the snow. It was good fun. Looks like we've caught up in the chat eventually. Alien said, keep a franchise and delete one completely from existence. Scream or A Nightmare on Elm Street? Scream or A Nightmare on Elm Street? I'm going to have to choose keeping Scream and deleting A Nightmare on Elm Street. As much as I love A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, there's only really 4 good movies in that franchise. When I say only, that's actually quite decent for 7 movies. If you include Freddy vs. Jason, that's 8 movies in the franchise. And I say that, well, saying that though, 5 of them are pretty good out of 8. That being A Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 2, 3, New Nightmare, and Freddy vs. Jason. So it's a decent franchise overall. But then when you look at Scream, there's obviously not as many Scream movies, but I think the good ones are far superior to the other ones. Scream 1 is great. Scream 2 is great. Scream 3 is good. Scream 4 is really good. And Scream 5 is okay. And Scream 6 is okay as well. So there's not a bad Scream movie. Whereas in a Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, there are bad A Nightmare on Elm Street movies like Part 4, Part 5, and Part 6. They're really bad. Well, when I say really bad, they're just bad movies. So yeah, Scream would be the one that I would be saving. Unfortunately or fortunately, you never know. Alien said, I was watching Poltergeist late on TV the other night. I forgot how amazing and unsettling that movie is at times. And that was a PG when it was released in 1981. I know it's the same with Jaws. Jaws was a PG as well until not recently, but Jaws went from being a PG to a 12 to a 15. It's unbelievable how they just re-rate films based on how soft we're getting. Yeah, and again, Poltergeist being a PG back in the day, if that was rated today, it would be a 15, like straight up 15, boom, done, absolutely. Chucky has got a little story. The other I was in the house by myself. My mum had gone to sister's house and I was going to sleep, but I kept hearing things, so I packed clothes and went to my sister, but I was walking away and I felt someone was watching me. That's the way I feel as well. Like whenever I think something's happening, it's just I get that feeling that something or someone is watching me, and it's freaky. It freaks you out. Don't know why I'm talking about this because this is like it's 12:30 at night, and after this I need to pack up and go up 2 flights of stairs myself in my bedroom. Scary, and my wife will be sleeping as well. So scary stuff, guys. Right, I've caught up with the chat. I've spoken about everything I think I need to talk about. So just to quickly recap before we end the live chat, because I'll be ending it in a few minutes, is top 10 scariest moments is coming soon. Absolutely. You can check out my merch on the merch store. The link will be in the description of every video. I'm doing a Beetlejuice review eventually in the lead up to the new Beetlejuice movie. Evan is going to be joining me next week from Rockland Graves. We'll be discussing all things David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy, so make sure you look out for that, which is next Tuesday. And I'll be continuing on my Night of the Demons franchise reviews, and the next one is Night of the Demons 2, followed by Part 3, the remake, and then eventually I'll be doing the ranking for all the movies. So what I'll do is I'm going to read whatever I've got left, guys, and then I'll be calling it a night because I'm getting scared now. It's me you're looking for, said, I've been watching you forever, Barry. I remember you telling us about another incident in another one of your parents' houses about your mum blaming your sister. Oh my God. When your mum blaming your sister when she was young for running up and down. Okay, I'll tell that story because why not? So I was about 5 years old apparently, and my sister was about 7, and I was in another old house, and my mum she thought she saw my sister running past the kitchen. So in our old house, the kitchen was the middle room in the house, and it's the hallway that has all the doors, and the kitchen doesn't have a door on it. It's just like a slider. So the slider was opened. My mum was in the kitchen, and something ran past her, and she thought it was my sister. So, and me and my sister were in the living room, just colouring in or drawing. And my mum shouted to my sister, Kelly, stop running up and down. And naturally, my sister said, okay. And then it ran past the other way. And my mum said, Kelly, I told you to stop running up and down. So that at that point, my sister said, I'm not, I'm in the living room. And she's like, right, okay. And then it ran away again. So my mum ran out and she said, Kelly, what are you doing? So she ran into the living room, saw my sister sitting with me. And she said, oh, sorry, I thought you were running up and down. She's like, no, I'm being here. She said, all right, okay. She turned round to go back to the kitchen. And at the end of the hall, this is what my mum told me. At the end of the hall, she saw a little girl standing at the end of the hall. Now, I don't know if my mum told me that to scare us or if that's what she actually saw. But the scariest thing is the real life incident, in that before we moved into that house, a little girl and her grandmother died in a fire. They both died a few years before we moved in. And when I read about that, that's when I started to think maybe my mum's not crazy. Maybe that actually did happen. Really scary story. And again, I'm going to go to my bed tonight really scared. Yeah. It's amazing that you remembered that. Alien said, are there any horror remakes you have avoided based on what people have said about it rather than seeing it for yourself? Mine is The Fog from 2005. Not interested at all. The original is my top 5 Carpenter. No, there's not. I think every remake deserves a chance to be watched, whether it's good or bad. And The Fog was one of them. I went into The Fog knowing that it's supposed to be terrible, but I wanted to see it for myself, and it was bad. But I needed to know that myself. David James sent in a super chat of $39.99. Thank you very much, David. Very generous of you. Your comment is in this part, though. You said, I am not superstitious and I don't believe in anything paranormal, but I've had an experience I couldn't find an explanation for and find it scary. There you go. If you want to let us know that, if it's too long, you can put it into the chat after the live chat's done. David said, the lesson of these stories is that every house in Scotland is haunted. Either that or there's a spirit attached to Barry. Sleep tight, bud. Thanks for that, Davey. Some people think that houses in Scotland are castles. We all live in a castle back in the medieval times. But no, we live in modern houses. Is it me you're looking for? Say good night, Barry. Good live chat. It was good. It just got a little bit spooky now. But yeah, I think that's me done, guys. So if you're still watching, thanks a lot for sticking with me for the... excuse me. Didn't have enough time to mute you there. But thanks for sticking with me for the hour and 45 or so. There was a good chat. We got chatting about horror films and real life horror of paranormal. Who would have thought that was going to be ended up one of the main parts of the chat? I think I got about 26 or 27 people at one point in the chat, which is great. Again, we're getting a little bit more numbers every week, which is good. Hopefully with Evan coming on next week, he's got a bit of a pool with his viewership at this moment in time as well. So hopefully he'll maybe bring a few people over to chat as well, and we can all have a good chat together about Halloween, the Halloween trilogy, Halloween 2018, Kills and Ends. But yeah, spooky times, and thanks a lot, David. So yeah, so anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching. I'll look in the camera this time, and I'll get ready to press stop. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'm going to click this button in a second. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
I'll be right back. What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back!